You're looking sharp, Somerhalder.
Hey, sharp as a marble.
All right, so the last time that we talked on the record, we were at Comic-Con and we talked a little bit about how Damon's going to be pining a little bit less for Elena this season.
Wow, 7 episodes. That's crazy you just said that.
You guys are almost done. I mean.
Karina. We so not almost done. But is he going to be pining? He will definitely be pining significantly less.
Mm-hmm.
And by pining, I mean like, oh, she doesn't want me. That kind of, this thing. I think now there's a whole other element that is sort of in play here now, and that's that by virtue of the fact that there is this transition, this thing that's happened in our lives, and it's significantly altering the course of the way things are going down in Mystic Falls, at least between Steph and Elena and Damon, at least within that little trilogy.
How would you describe the shift in dynamic now that she's a vampire? I mean, the thing about Elena was that she was always good. Like, her goodness was very important. Is she still just as sort of good and pure now that she's got this affliction?
Affliction. Of course she's pure. She's good. She's a pure soul, and she's got the most incredible intentions and love for her family and people in the world and her town, and wants to see no one get hurt. But there's these conflicting, there's a strange thing that happens, and this is what I remember describing to Nina when we first started the show, what Paul and I sort of conceptualized or realizing with these characters. So you and I are friends, and I love you to death. But there's something in me.
Thanks, bud.
That, of course, that wants to literally rip your neck apart and drink until I'm drunk. That is crazy. That's like the cat and the mouse. That's the cat and the mouse being best friends, which is odd. And so going back to Elena, yeah, of course, I think she's pure, and there's these conflicting emotions now that are happening, and Damon he could obviously foresee this happening. He knows.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, been there, done that. Not only just been there, done that, watched it 150 times.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, and produced 100 years of a TV show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of his love life, now that she finally made that choice, and it was a really sort of hard scene to watch. Damon on the phone, hearing that from her in the finale. I mean, is he going to try to move on? Are there other potential love interests in his life?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that he can hear Stefan and Elena getting it on up in the roof of the Salvatore.
That super hearing's a bitch.
Super hearing's a bitch. Especially think about this, like Damon's hopping. I always think about how, sometimes, Damon can't find the car keys to probably one of the 12 cars that he has. Does he just sort of hop into town like a flea? A flea can jump something. If a flea were a human being, effectively they would be able to jump, I think, 4 miles. Comparative to, no, maybe it's 2 miles. Comparative to 2 miles and 400 feet. That's what it is, I think. We'll have to check. We'll check.
How did we get on this flea subject?
Well, just wait. There's a reason talking about fleas.
We're always going to go back to the fact checking about the fleas now.
Right. Cut to the moon. But Damon, does he just hop into or jump into, run, speed, vamp into town or whatever he needs to do? But, imagine you're pulling up. There's some Bach in in his car, and he's pulling up. And all of a sudden he hears and he stopped there and he's like, oh God, not again. He's got to listen to the woman he loves upstairs with his brother So what does he do? He probably goes inside, polishes off a bottle of bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And he doesn't have a lark to join him anymore.
Damon and a bottle of Makers. There's no lark. Or does he? Yeah, exactly. Or does he just turn around and go back to the Mystic Grove, which is probably where he just came from?
Mm-hmm.
Not looking up for Damon right now.
No.
He's not looking that up for Damon. But then he's also, but oddly enough, he and Stefan are in, they're in the closest.
I've been hearing, actually, this is like from the CW, so I'm allowed to say this, but I hear that they like almost come to blows over Elena in one of the early episodes, that they're, really conflicted over how to handle her transition. Could this break apart their relationship that they built?
I very, very much think, I very, very much think that there is a gigantic possibility that by virtue of the fact that Elena is become this vampire and she's with Stefan and her emotions are heightened and the way that she's being taught to be a vampire is not congruent with the way he knows you should learn to be a vampire. And so, again, it's like, imagine having a kitten, a little baby kitten, and that kitten wants to play all the time. You're like, no, kitten can't play. Put the kitten in a box. Put the kitten in a closet. But the kitten can't play. The kitten is supposed to play.
Right.
It's supposed to play with it. Give him toys. Him or her. Let's call it it. You got to give it toys. You have to allow it to advance its skills as a hunter, as an individual. Mm-hmm. And the way Damon sees Elena being sort of led into this is just doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And so I think that there's a huge downfall that he sees, which is that if she does not experience firsthand this bloodlust, then there's no way in hell she's going to be able to control it. She's not going to know what she's up against.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Julie teased some...
This is a pen with blood. This is fucking awesome.
Julie teased that that despite the fact that Elena chose Stefan, there's still some pretty sexy Damon and Elena tension scenes in the first few episodes. So we can still expect to see those like moments that the Delena fans love so much, right?
Tension schmension. I want to see action, Karina.
So do I, but I've been waiting.
Yeah, I know. There is. Because look, there's obviously, what a weird scenario. Mm-hmm. You've told your boyfriend that you also love his brother. Awkward for all of us.
Yeah. What about Klaus? Because Elena's dead now, technically. So does he continue to be a threat? Do he and Damon
Elena's dead?
Well, undead-ish, whatever she turns out to be. Does Klaus still continue to butt heads with Damon? Is there still a rivalry going on there?
Yeah, it's interesting. Klaus and Damon have a very interesting relationship now. Klaus is really not happy with the fact that he can't produce any of these ridiculous hybrids that he needs to, produce. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, which for him is bad. For us, it's great. And he's very angry about that. And I think the one...
I wouldn't like him when he's angry.
Klaus, when he's angry, is no bueno for any of us. But I will say that, I think that I don't know how... I don't know what the arc is. Chris, when is all this run? I don't even know. Because there's a lot of stuff...
I won't spoil anything that I shouldn't spoil.
Because Klaus, obviously still hates Damon, but they have all those cool scenes.
It starts happening, I think, in 403.
Where they kind of... There's common interests that Damon and Klaus both have, and it's the oddest of bedfellows because you sort of see them in these scenes together where they're kind of like carrying out these little missions together.
Reluctant allies.
Kind of, yeah. Reluctant allies is kind of a good way to put it. But obviously Damon wants to steer clear of this guy. But in all actuality, there's things that they can do for each other.
There always are.